Hello, Best Recaps greets you and hopes you have a good day today. We will talk about a 2019 movie called A Dog's Way Home. Remember that you can support the channel by liking, subscribing and activating the bell. Don't forget to comment below your favorite part of the movie. The story begins with the birth of Vela, who is the main protagonist. She mentions that in her first home, she lived with a family of cats in addition to her brothers and her mother. Vela spent the first part of her life in this abandoned house. She mentions that they were happy for a time, but animal control officers raided the house, capturing her mother and her brothers. In a matter of minutes, Vela was alone. She says she never saw her mother again. However, the kitten who managed to save her children decided to adopt Vela and take care of her. We can see how Vela grew healthy over the months, all thanks to Mama Gata, as she called her. Later, we meet Lucas and Olivia, who are animal lovers who go out of their way to visit stray dogs and cats in the neighborhood, feeding them. Although the humans took Vela's family away, she mentions that Lucas was different because he went every day and the cats trusted him. She mentions that she felt the need to run out and play with Lucas and Olivia. They fell in love with Vela at once, so Lucas immediately decided to adopt her. He mentions that his mom would benefit from having a pet because she was a veteran and it would keep her company. It would be a great help for his mom and also an inseparable companion for Lucas. They would play many things. Vela describes how everything was a game to her, like playing with shoes and not shoes, and how could she forget her favorite game, a small piece of cheese. Additionally, Vela would go see the mother cat from time to time, but in the blink of an eye, Vela grew bigger and remained as happy as she was at the beginning. One day, Lucas' mom was walking Vela on the street when the owner of the abandoned house appeared. However, he soon threatened her, saying that if Lucas continued to intervene in the demolition of the house and continued to invent that there were cats there, he would get into serious political problems. But his mom defended herself and told him he was a liar because the cats were still there. Later, they received a letter from the landlord who would come to check the sink the next day and that dogs were not allowed in the house. So Lucas and his mom had no choice but to hide Vela in the veterans' succession where Lucas worked. So Vela started barking for Lucas to return, which caused the building's ventilation ducts to be heard with Vela calling out, drawing a lot of attention. Lucas returned with Vela, and Olivia found out about her presence as well. A colleague at the institution discovered Vela as well and decided that it would be a good idea to bring Vela to the group therapy session as a special guest. During the entire session, Vela consoled the veterans when they told their sad stories. They all immediately loved Vela and she mentioned that she had new friends and how all those veterans also cheered her on. They also came up with creative ways to hide her from the doctor. One day, while on a walk with Lucas and Olivia, they discovered that Vela's old house was being demolished and the cats were in danger. But the property owner continued to insist that there were no cats there, while Olivia recorded everything. Suddenly, the cats decided to escape, evidencing the property owner. The demolition was stopped due to Olivia's live recording. At night, an animal control officer knocked on the door of the house threatening to take Vela away because she was dangerous, as pit bulls were illegal in the city of Denver. However, when the pet is on your property they can't touch it, but if the pet is seen on the street they will confiscate it. In an effort to save Vela, Lucas taught her a new game called Go Home so she could get home on her own. In order for him to reach Lucas' house on his own if they ever catch him one day, a daring squirrel mocked Vela from the window, so he chased her down the block. Lucas finally managed to find her after a while, but the animal control was not far away and approached stealthily behind Lucas. He told Vela it was time to play and go home, but Vela wouldn't leave. She couldn't leave Lucas alone because she needed him, so the animal control officer managed to catch her. Lucas asked them to let him take his dog to the cage himself. After that, Vela went to the city pound, mentioning that she wasn't the only sad pet there. She also commented that she did everything she could to get Lucas back, but no game she played brought him back. The next morning, Lucas came back for her, managing to pay the fine before taking her to the vet. He gave them a strict warning about what would happen to Vela if they caught her again. If they found her again on the street with Lucas, they would have to sacrifice her without another option. So, Lucas decided to send Vela with some relatives of Olivia who lived outside the city where Vela was not illegal. When they were about to leave, they realized that animal control was already waiting for them, as it seems that the owner of the abandoned house was a friend of the grumpy animal control officer. But Lucas's mother managed to scare him enough for him to let Vela leave the city safely, healthy and safe. Lucas said goodbye to Vela, but she didn't understand why she had to go so far away or why Lucas wasn't going with her. As she moved away from Lucas, she became more sad. The relatives of Olivia were good people, played with Vela and fed her well. In addition, having a big and spacious house, Vela tried to make her like her new home, but it wasn't the same for her. They were not her family. She missed Lucas a lot. After a few days, Olivia's uncle received a call and told Vela that they would go for her tomorrow to finally go with Lucas. Excellent, everything is going very well. However, she still didn't understand. One day, while she was lying on the grass, she decided to jump the fence and run back home with Lucas. But the road was very long and she couldn't find her way back on her own, but even with the odds against her, Vela continued on, clinging to her love for Lucas. What she didn't know was that Lucas was on his way to take her to their new home. Vela had never been alone before, so it was natural for her to have difficulty surviving in the wild. In the morning, a hungry and tired Vela tried to hunt in the forest, but her prey, a poor rabbit, managed to escape before being devoured by her. Eventually, Vela arrived at a new city. There she found a pack of dogs and she thought they might hurt her. However, due to her hunger, she dared to eat with them. The pack quickly accepted her and she had fun with her new friends. They taught her the best places to get food from kind humans, which was much easier than chasing rabbits. But when night came, Vela saw all her new friends return to their homes. The leader of the pack invited her to live with him, but Vela chose to continue her search for Lucas. One night, she heard a distant shot, so she decided to go see what was happening. When she arrived, she saw a female puma that had been killed by two hunters. Nearby, Vela found the orphan cub and here she is, Big Kitten, as Vela called her, reminded her of her family bond with cats. Vela decided to take care of her. They looked for food and kept warm as best they could. Together, they traveled through the whole forest. Some days Big Kitten went off on her own and Vela would wait for her at their place. When she slept, she dreamed of Lucas and their games. As time passed, Big Kitten grew bigger and Vela was surprised that now Big Kitten brought food back. However, Vela didn't like fish much, but she had to eat it because it was the only thing they had. One day, some coyotes ambushed them in the forest while they were drinking water. She mentioned that their eyes were cold. Big Cat ran and Vela followed too, but Vela couldn't climb trees, so she decided to face the coyotes. Fortunately, three men who were just passing through the forest approached and scared off the coyotes. However, Big Cat ran away and Vela decided to stay with those men to see if they would give her food. They took her collar and called Lucas' phone number. When it seemed that Vela was about to be reunited with Lucas, Big Cat accidentally scared the men, preventing Lucas from knowing that Vela had been found. Vela and Big Cat continued their journey one day in the middle of the snow. Vela was excited to hear another dog bark and decided to follow the barking. Both dogs seemed to greet each other friendly, but these barks caused an avalanche. Their new friend and Vela helped to rescue their owner. Vela mentioned that she could smell the fear of the other dog. While the dog owner was in the hospital, two skiers adopted Vela and the owner's dog, leaving Big Cat behind. Her new life wasn't bad. She had good owners and an excellent home. Vela mentioned that she felt like a home. One day, the couple found out that the owner had recovered at home and took Vela and her new friend back to her owner. Although the dog was happy to see her owner, the owner was actually a grumpy person who didn't care at all about his dog. He mentioned that he was too sick to take care of a dog. Additionally, he said he had never seen Vela. The sale friend did not want to stay away from his owner, however, he soon understood that he had never really wanted him, although Velas was happy that his friend had found a loving home. The real sale was somewhere else with Lucas, so he ran away again when he had the opportunity to escape on a walk in the woods. In his journey through the woods, Sale arrived at a new city and got into some mischief. Then he was adopted by a vagabond. Although he sought his tag, he decided to adopt him by force. His name was Axel and always had him on a leash because of the tenderness that Sale caused. Axel had more donations from people on the street. It seemed that he really loved Sale and was afraid of losing him, so he always kept him tied up. But in the end, Alex did something reprehensible by tying Sale to his body and later dying. Sail couldn't escape, she became too weak, she was thirsty, she was so close to water but couldn't reach it, and she was also hungry. She waited a long time, it seemed that no one was going to rescue her, and her future did not look hopeful. But one day, suddenly two children found her and freed her. The first instinct of Vela was to hydrate herself. The children were frightened to see the corpse of Vela. Afterwards, she decided to continue her search, trying to find Lucas. During her passage through the forest, the coyotes chased her, howling close to her in the morning. The coyotes followed her again, despite Vela running as fast as she could. Soon, they managed to surround her. The coyotes seemed hungry, but Vela was very brave, so she decided to attack first. However, there was no way to beat so many enemies. When it seemed that all hope had been lost, suddenly, there was a little help from the fight. This little mysterious one was the big kitten. She was no longer as small as Vela remembered, she was an adult puma. Both were happy to see each other again. The big cat found her. Still there was hope that she would find me. Lucas. Vela was so excited to introduce Lucas to his new family and dreamed of their new life together. Unfortunately, the big cat knew she couldn't go back with Vela, and Vela knew she belonged to Lucas. Although it was a difficult choice, they separated one last time at the edge of the forest, knowing it would be the last time they would see each other. Vela stumbled upon a busy road and tried to cross it as expected, but Vela caused a car accident. Somehow she survived, but just when she thought she would make it to the other side of the road, she was hit by a car. Vela was suffering but knew she was close to Lucas and couldn't stop, so she kept limping on her way back home with her broken leg. Finally, after 2 long years, she was back in front of Lucas's house, but as she entered the house, it turned out it was no longer Lucas's house. The lady who lived there immediately called animal control, saying on the phone that a stray dog had entered her house. Vela was so tired she fell asleep inside the house. However, a meow woke her up. She immediately recognized and mentioned that she was now smaller. Suddenly, the animal control officer who always wanted to take her away appeared, but Vela was smart, so she escaped through the window and said goodbye to Mom Cat. She only had one place left to look for: Lucas, the Veterans Association. When she arrived, she noticed that some things had changed, as there were now dogs there and they were no longer prohibited, but that didn't mean that people had forgotten about Vela. In fact, her old friends were all excited to see her again. Finally, after a long time, she found Lucas. He hadn't forgotten about her either, and their happy reunion was interrupted by a squad of police cars in front of the Veterans Association. The animal control officer had called almost all the city police to take away Vela. None of the veterans were willing to let Vela be arrested, caged, and sacrificed. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, Vela was saved by a technicality, because although the city of Denver did not allow pit bulls, the Veterans Association was federal property and not part of the city of Denver, so the police chief decided to help them and let them go home with Vela, not without scolding the annoying animal control officer first. The movie ends by showing Lucas and Olivia finally at home, and the big cat was also where it needed to be. So we come to the end of the movie. I hope you liked the summary. Remember that you can support the channel by leaving your like, subscribing, and activating the bell. Don't forget to comment below your favorite part. This is Janie talking. Well, until next time, goodbye.